So what we're going to do in this tutorial is make the fish for your no fuss fish jar. I was going to say far then, jar, no fuss fish jar. So this is the fish we're going to make, and I'm going to show you what materials that you are going to need for your whole jar. Now you don't need very much yarn for this. I've just got some cotton. You can use acrylic if you want, and you will need a 3mm hook, but I'm using a 4mm hook just so it shows up better on camera, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see it because it is quite tiny. So that's, and also you will need a stitch marker, some scissors or a yarn cutter and a darning needle. And for the rest of the jar you're going to need some glue. I just got some Yoo-hoo glue, an empty jar, this is just an old jar that I've rinsed out and taken the label off, some toy stuffing and something to decorate the bottom of your jar with. Now I haven't got any gravel, but I've got these beads that I thought would look quite pearly, and I'm going to pop some blue yarn in the bottom as well so it looks like the sea. And also some, if you've got clear thread, you can use clear thread, but it's not absolutely essential. We can just use some white thread. So let's get crocheting our little fish. I would definitely recommend using a stitch marker for this, because it is really tricky to find sort of where your first stitch is if you haven't marked it. If you haven't got a stitch marker, don't panic, you can use a paper clip, or you can even just use a scrap of different coloured yarn. So I've got my yarn here. This, like I said before, this is just cotton, and it's just some bits that I've got left over. So I'm going to do the main body in this orange, and these bits I'm going to do the same in yellow. Now you do need to start with a magic circle. If you don't know how to do a magic circle, I will link my magic circle video, or you can always do the alternative, which is chain 3. So I would just chain 3 for this project, not 4, and slip stitch into your very first chain and work into the middle of that. But let's get started with our magic circle. So we're going to start with our magic circle, or as I said before, you can just chain 3. So you need to do this in a 3mm hook, but like I said, I'm going to use a 4 just so you can see my stitches better for the video. So I'm just going to untangle my magic circle. So what you want to do is start off by doing 6 double crochets. So that's 6 single crochets if you're in the US, into the middle of this circle. I find it easier when I'm doing the magic circle to working into the magic circle, sorry, to hold it up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what I'm going to do is find my first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my first stitch, this is why you need stitch markers, because this is the first stitch here. So I'm going to pop my stitch marker into this very first stitch. And then I'm going to pull the tail, and that just closes up the circle. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to slip stitch into this first stitch here, and just give that a little tug again, just to make sure it's doubly secure. And then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to double crochet or single if you're in the US, just into that very first stitch. So 1, and then you want to pop your stitch marker into that first stitch. Now in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochet or 2 single if you're in the US, and then 1 in the next one, and then 2 in the next one, and then 1 in the next one, and then 2 in the next one, and we should have 9. So we need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So once you've got your 9 stitches, I know it looks like there's a bit of a gap there, but don't worry. So we're gonna take our stitch marker out, and we're going to slip stitch into this first stitch here. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet or single if you're in the US into this stitch here, and then pop our stitch marker back in to that first stitch. And then instead of doing 2, sorry, let me grab some, my yarn's all tangled up. We are going to do our increase in every 3rd stitch in this round. So we've done 1, then we're going to do 1 double or single in the next one, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet into the next one, and 1 in the next one, 1 in the next one, and then 2 into the next one. So if you want to pause the video, and we're going to do that all the way round until we get to 12 stitches at the end of this round. So when you've got to the end of the round, just check that you have got 12 stitches. Then we're going to slip stitch into this stitch, chain 1, and we're just going to double crochet into that stitch and pop our stitch marker in. And this round we're going to do 3 double crochet and then 2 double crochet. So we've already done 1, 2, 3, and then 2 in the next one, and again 1, 2, 3, and 2 in the next one. 1, 2, 3, our final 2, and let's just count our stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. And then slip stitch, chain 1, 1 double crochet. So this round we're going to do 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do our increase. So if you want to pause the video now and do 4 double crochets or single if you're in the US into the next 4 stitches, and then 2 double crochets into the 5th stitch all the way around. So you should have 18 stitches in this round, and we're going to slip stitch, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to double crochet and pop our stitch marker in. So now this round you want to do a double crochet into 5 stitches and then 2 double crochets into the 6th stitch. So if you want to pause the video now, and I shall meet you when you get to the end of this round. So I got to the end of this round, and I'm just going to insert my hook, pull through, chain 1, double crochet into that same space, put my stitch marker in, and now this round it's 6, so you want to do a double crochet into 6 of the stitches along, and then into the 7th 2. So we've already done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 into the next one. So if you want to pause the video now, and I shall meet you back when we get to the stitch marker. So at the end of that round you should have 24 stitches, and you want to slip stitch into the very first stitch of the round, then chain 1, grab your yarn cutter or your scissors, cut your work, pull that through. So that's the first part of your fish. Obviously this one is bigger because I'm using a bigger hook size. So we've just done this part here. So we're going to grab our yellow yarn, I'm just going to snip this bit off because it's really annoying me. You don't have to snip it too short because it can just sit on the inside. So we're going to grab our yellow yarn. You can attach your yarn in any way you desire, but I tend to go like this, and I try to work my ends in, make that a little bit shorter as I go along. So I'm just going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 24 single crochets or doubles if you're in the US all around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if you want to pause the video now and I'll meet you back when we get to the start. So I'm back at the start and I'm just going to slip stitch into there, chain 1, and we are going to cut our work. I love these, they're so handy. Sorry, I digress. But they're really, really smart and they're really easy. And if you're traveling, they're really good because you can take them on flights and stuff. Top tip, carry one of these, then you don't need scissors. So this is what our fish is looking like at the moment. So now we are going to attach our orange yarn back again. And we're going to crochet 8 rounds of 24 double crochet or single if you are in the US around. So what I would definitely do, because we're working in this colour and it's going to be the same colour, is use your stitch marker. So I've just done 2 there and I'm going to pop my stitch marker just into that very first stitch. Because otherwise I will lose my place. So 1, 2, 3. The very first stitch, I'm going to chain 1 and crochet 24 stitches around, and I'm going to do another 6 rounds. So if you want to pause the video now, and I shall meet you back when you've done 6 rounds of 24 stitches and a slip stitch. There's no need to turn your work, just slip stitch, chain 1 and start a new round. So we're going to do another 7 rounds. There will be 8 in total, and I'll meet you back when you're finished. So I have just completed all 8 of my rounds of 24 stitches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this end bit here. This is done separately and sewn on, as are the fins. So we're just going to do this end bit here. So what you want to do is skip 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're just going to slip stitch into that space there. Now what you can do is you can stuff your fish now if you want, but what I would do first now is, now you know where you're gonna slip stitch into, we can pop the eyes on. So if we just open that up, so we know it's going to be like this, because if we put the eyes on before, your eyes could end up anywhere. So you want to pop your safety eyes on now. I've just got these ones here. They are actually a bit too big for the fish. It makes him look very evil. but they're the only ones I had. So I'm just going to pop these on and fill my fish with stuffing, and I shall meet you back. So if you want to pause the video now, and I'll meet you back in a sec. So I popped my eyes on, just make sure that you've got them roughly equal, and I popped some toy stuffing in. If you don't have toy stuffing, it's fine, you can use scraps of yarn, you can use anything really, just to pop inside. A pair of tights, if you've got a pair of old nylon tights, you can cut them up and pop them inside. So what we're going to do now is we just want to join this together. So we're just going to slip stitch into both the stitches on each side all the way until we get to the end. So I'm just going through both layers there of the stitches and just slip stitching all the way through. Just keep going right until the end. And into this last one here. This one can sometimes be a bit tricky. Now what you want to do, now you've got to the end, we're just going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Second chain from the hook. So we're going to not count this one on the hook. This is our first chain. This is our second, and we're just going to double crochet or single crochet into those 3 chains. And then we're just going to pop our hook into this corner here, and we're going to slip stitch. We're going to chain 1, and we are going to cut our yarn, and we can sew our end in soon. So that's his first little fin done. Now we're going to work on this part here and his last bit of fin. So you want to attach your yarn into here, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches left. If I can attach my yarn. What we're going to do, we just chain 1, and then we're going to half double crochet 2 together. So just yarn over and then yarn over, and then just pull through all 3 loops on that hook. Then we're going to double crochet into the next 4, into the next 2, then we're gonna half double crochet, and if you've got any stitches left over, just do an extra half double crochet. It doesn't matter because we can work those in. It's a fin, it's not going to make a lot of difference. So then just chain 1 and turn, and then you want to double crochet in each stitch around of the fin part. chain 1, and then we're just going to slip stitch this together. It is really simple, so just slip stitch. You can turn and then go all the way down. Until you reach the very end. And then we're just going to chain 1. And we're going to cut our work. Now if you want to make that fin bigger at the back, you can. Just after you've finished your decrease and you do your double crochets into it, just do an extra round and it'll make this little fin here a little bit bigger. Now let's get rid of these ends. So what we're going to do, these are really, really easy to sew in. So we're just going to insert our needle. This is how I do it anyway. Pop your yarn, hang on a sec, she says. Pull your yarn through your needle. Then what I do is I just pull it all the way through, and then it loses it in the work. We can just trim this bit off here and just do the same with this side, and I will show you how to do the tail and the 2 fins. So to do your tail, I had to think then, sorry. You want to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're going to double crochet all the way along. Oh, here comes the rain. I don't know if you can hear it, it's absolutely pouring down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there you've got 6 double crochet or single crochet. If you're in the US, chain 1, and then we're going to cut our yarn and pull through. Then you want to turn your work around, and we're going to attach the yellow. And we're just going to chain 1. That's the thing about amigurumi, it's really fiddly, but just do it in a bigger hook, it doesn't matter. So just chain 1, then we're going to double crochet 2 together, then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to double crochet the last 2 together. So then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn, and we're just going to double crochet 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 1 and turn, and then next row we're gonna double crochet 2 together and double crochet 2 together, chain 1, turn, and just a double crochet in those last 2 stitches. Now don't worry about this, I have got the written pattern available for you. I'm going to pop it on my blog, so I'll leave the link below, so if you are a bit confused about the tail you can look at the written pattern. So just a double crochet in those last 2 stitches, chain 1, turn and fasten your yarn off, and that is your tail done. You will need to sew in the ends of your tail and then attach it to your fish. Now for the fins, these are really easy. So this is a magic circle, so we'll start with our magic circle. So what we're going to do is double crochet into the circle. Let me make it a bit smaller. So we're going to double crochet, or single if you're in the US, half treble crochet, or half double if you're in the US. Then we're going to treble crochet, or double if you're in the US. Then half treble, then double, chain 1, and we're just going to pull that closed, and we're going to snip that off. Now what I've done on mine is I used this long end from where I pulled my magic circle tight to sew my fins on to my little fish. So if you make 2 of those and just sew them on where you want them. Now to put your fish together. So what you need to do is take your fish, and you can either use invisible thread or a different colour thread or blue thread, and we are just going to snip some thread, and you just want to sew through with your darning needle the top of your fish. So I'm just going to sew through here. I'm just going to sew through a couple of times. So this is what I'm going to use to hang the fish. So you can always use invisible thread, and you want to get your jar. This fish is actually a bit big for this jar because this is a really teeny tiny jar, and then just sort of measure and see the length that you want your thread to be and where you want your fish to sit, and then just snip it off and tie a knot in the top. So if you want to pause the video and I'll let you do that. Now once you've knotted your string, you just want to pop some glue on your lid. I've got Yoo-hoo because Yoo-hoo is amazing and does literally stick to anything. So pop some Yoo-hoo onto your lid. if you don't want to make your fish like permanently in there, you want to be able to get him out, you can always glue a button on, and then you can just loop this around the button so you can take your fish out if you know you want to play with him or anything. So just either put some glue and a button on there. Then what you want to do is wait for that to dry and take your jar, fill your jar with what you want to fill it with, any yarn scraps or anything. You can put gravel in the bottom, and then when your fish is dry you can pop him in. I'm just going to balance him like that for the moment. Put your lid on, and there is your no fuss fish. Really easy, really simple to do. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. The written pattern will be up on my blog. You can also find me on Instagram as well. Don't forget, I have got lots of YouTube videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you hit that bell you'll get a notification for the next video that I've uploaded. So take care, thanks for watching, and I'd love to see your photos of your fish on Crochet Beginners Group. Take care, bye.